Hello, everyone, and this is Time to Explain. Does it feel like a podcast already? I don't know. But let me explain what is Time to Explain first. This is a podcast where we want to address most of the burning questions from the players. Here, we want to have like a casual and organic conversation with you about the topics you want to hear about. And we might have guests, maybe a content creator, maybe a pro player, maybe some random member of the community. Who knows? With that said, I'm here with like three. I'm the four. Three beautiful people from the Brawl Stars team that I want to introduce to you guys. Some of them you already know. Someone is completely new. And they are Adrian, our tester and game designer, and / something else. Yeah.
That works.
Something else.
That works.
Something else.
Yeah, that
That's
works
what
for
I
me.
want to-
Something else.
What else are you doing?
But Adrian, maybe you can tell like what do you exactly do and who are you? Or
So hi, my name is Adrian. I've been on the team for about 2 years, and my job primarily is testing. That means that every bug you find is something I've missed. Well, that's not quite true, but hopefully I haven't missed it. But regardless, so I try to find the bugs before it reaches you guys. And outside of that, I try to also help.
Willow.
With a lot of the press the button. And yeah, outside of that, I try to help with a lot of game design stuff. So most notably, maybe for you guys, the balancing aspect. So all of your hate mail can be sent to me. I'm at fault for most of it. So that's what I do, in a nutshell.
nice, thank you very much. And also we have Frank, the game lead of the Brawl Stars team.
Hello. Well, I guess you've seen me before once or twice.
What does a lead do, Frank?
I'm getting that question
What
a
does a
lot.
lead
That's a good question.
What does a lead
What
do?
do you do?
What do you do?
I'm surprisingly handsome. I'm really good at math. And a game lead in Supercell is like something very undefined, actually. It's more about responsibility than what we do. And the responsibilities of a game lead are two things. On one side, we are responsible for the team and the well-being of the team. And on the other side, we are responsible for the game and the outcome of the game. So for the company, essentially, like I'm the point of contact, and that's my responsibility. What I practically do, I would say I'm like 20% QA, so I'm sharing a little bit of that when something goes wrong. I'm 20% community, as you know, if you follow me on social media. A lot of game design, a lot of production-related stuff, but a lot of people-related stuff as well.
Cool, thank you very much. And of course, we have, is it one of our newest hires? No, not the newest, but maybe you're here already for 1 year, right?
Pretty new.
I've been here 10 months.
Okay,
There
10
you go.
months.
10 months.
V, game designer from the Brawl Stars team.
Hi there. Yeah, my name is V. Now, you might be wondering, why is it only a letter long? Well, when I was hired, my real name is actually Frank. And, as you might know, someone else in this room is also named that. And I also sit beside that person. We both also came from the same prior company. And so it got a little confusing in the team. And so I decided to use my online handle. So it's now just one letter instead of one syllable.
So cool.
I am a game designer. I primarily kind of focus on the systems design aspects of the game. So, for instance, the removal of loot boxes from the game. That was kind of one of my projects. But I work on other virtual economy related work as well, and a smattering of other things.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, thank you very much. And of course, this one, like it has like this Q&A format, but we don't want that to be like the actual format of this show. It's just because I think you guys have a lot of burning questions for us, and since like we have the time to explain,
Press one of those buttons.
Press one of those.
we finally found the time to like answering lots of questions, and then I went through social media, and I think there was like 2,000 questions per channel, and of course I got 50, but most of them were repeating. So like I got questions that had a lot of upvotes, likes, questions that were appearing a lot, and then questions that were just I found really interesting to bring it here. So then I think there's something for everyone. With that said, the first question
Oh, wow.
from Ark or Caster. He's talking about the play rates for Mortis in Brawl Ball have surely been through the roof for a while now when it comes to your stats. Why then have you not decided to nerf him in so long? Do you just enjoy watching us all suffer?
So for the second one, yes, absolutely. But on a more serious note, I think Mortis has the problem that he's very fun when he pops off. You know, when you get those multi-kills, you get those trick shots, it's really fun. But the problem is that he doesn't do that often. So when you look at actual win rates, his is quite a lot below average in Brawl Ball. So if you would nerf him, that would just be even worse. Of course, if you can pick him, I think, into something that he's really good against, he's going to excel and you're going to have a great time. But in blind pick, in Brawl Ball especially, I don't see a reason we should nerf him because he would be too bad. But I don't know, do you guys have differing opinions?
Well, we ban him more often than not when we play Power
Yeah.
League. You know, it's like he can be really annoying and you actually have to deal with him when he's out there. So like, especially in Power League, of course, you really want to pick a comp. If you have early picks that are not easy to count, that are pretty hard to counter. Of course, the Mortis first picks out there. Mortis is a great counter pick, but outside of that, he's actually super fragile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if anything, buff for Mortis, right?
Absolutely, buff Mortis. Yeah, you heard it here first. No,
But
that's not
actually,
fish.
before we move on, I
Yeah.
guess Mortis does have some of the highest play rates, and he is one of the most popular brawlers
Yes.
in the game.
Yes.
And yeah, the combination of these circumstances, I guess, lead to us not wanting to necessarily change too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's many solutions, right? It doesn't need to be like a nerf or a buff. Could be like another mobile brawler. Like if we create something as exciting as Mortis, we will decrease the number of Mortis. I don't know.
Yeah, and of course
Yeah,
there
maybe.
is Edgar, you know.
There is
Yeah,
Edgar.
there is
Who's also
Edgar.
pretty popular.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
He's also pretty popular.
But from Kairos, how do you plan on handling an ever-increasing roster, not rooster? Wait,
Just
wait.
imagine.
Give what?
Good timing.
That's really
Roster of
explaining
brawlers.
Just imagine that chicken sandwich.
I never want to stop releasing. I never want you to stop releasing new brawlers, but I feel as to the trophy system might need some improvements to allow it. Perhaps you feel that changes aren't currently necessary, though. I would like to hear like your thoughts about releasing more brawlers.
Many thoughts.
So many thoughts.
Do you want to start, Frank? Should I start?
Yeah, sure. You can start.
I start. Wow.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Nope.
So brawlers are. Let's start. Maybe take a step back and brawlers are the most important piece of content we have from Brawl Stars. People play literally the game to unlock brawlers. So stopping to release brawlers is a really, really tough nut to crack. We don't think we are there yet limit-wise, right? We have plenty of space we have plenty ideas to begin with to create more brawlers. So we're not running out of ideas anytime soon. And I mean, if you look at some of the MOBAs out there, Brawl Stars is not really a MOBA, but there are some comparable elements, of course. If you look at other MOBAs out there, they can easily live with like 100+ heroes, champions, whatever they're called in other games. Plus, those are much more complex characters than ours. So first, yeah, we think we can keep, at least for the next few years, keep releasing brawlers. We might want to reduce the cadence at a point, but then that would also have to be something else to make up for that in a way, for the excitement for the community and for us as a business. So it's kind of a win-win, really. So if we find a nice replacement for releasing more brawlers, sure, why not? Yeah, I think that is a starting point. We need to keep releasing more brawlers for the time being, and Brawl Stars is mainly about unlocking new brawlers. On the other side, then, well, I think I'm not quite sure. Like, Frank, what do you think?
Yeah, so you can tell that on team we still get our names mixed up sometimes.
I will keep saying Frank, by the way. But I'm also the only one who.
It easier.
I'm the only one who can
The
say
only
that.
exception is because Frank cannot refer to himself in the third person.
Oh, he can, and he has, and he will.
I might do that occasionally to be real. But.
Yeah, exactly.
So, with any live service game, like a game like Brawl Stars, we're always hoping that with every update, we hope we can create something that's exciting for the player base. And so if we do find something else, and we definitely have some things in the works that might be more interesting, if it can be as exciting or even more exciting than releasing Brawlers, then that's certainly something we want to pursue. And so we're constantly kind of thinking through this problem because we don't want to be in a situation where we have 300 Brawlers in the game. That is very overwhelming, particularly for new players that are coming in. And even returning players, they left maybe with 60, they come back and there's like dozens and dozens more. And so there are some things in the works, and we'll hopefully some of those things will pan out as we continue to progress.
And
No, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I think you lose, of course, at some point a little bit of the novelty of existing bots as
Yeah.
well, right? We already see the comments that this is just X with Y, like Meg with some other main attack, and we don't want that, right? We want every brawler to feel unique, to feel special and novel.
Yeah,
Right.
they really need to have some character. But to go to back to Kai's question, I think that there's the realities of like the way the trophy league currently is structured. If you want to compete in the leaderboards, if you want to get the max rewards, you need to play all those brawlers. That's not great, and it was never intended to be like this. And there's going to be some smaller changes in the near future of how we want to tackle this. So that should already, make things a little bit easier at least.
But I mean, if you want us to stop releasing Brawlers, buy more skins.
Because
I just
we
wanted
like
to use
money.
that.
Yeah, excellent job, Danny. You got to use the button. It's good.
Yes, my job is done. And then I have another question now from another channel again. I'm going to Instagram now. This was actually translated from Arabic, so the translation might be a bit off. But it's the Nini Awe. He or she asked, "Are you satisfied with the new play style after removing the boxes?" So I guess after satisfied with the economical system, and will there be other drastic changes in the game? Like 2 questions.
Are we satisfied? Frank, are we satisfied?
I will start with this. I can start on this one. So as we kind of read kind of the feedback from the community on this as to kind of, because I think a lot of people perhaps mourned the removal of loot boxes, and we've been reading through all of that, and we just certainly hear you. But one of the most common things that has come up through that is, there's less excitement with regards to the rewards. And I feel that just as much as probably anybody else on the team. And so we're thinking of other ways we can kind of continue to create other moments of excitement within the rewards that we give. And I think that's really maybe the high order bit. In terms of the actual details as to how we're going to do it, I think there's multiple ways that we can approach it. But that, I think, was one of the key pieces that players were, commenting about that we certainly feel also on team.
I think there was just a thread on Reddit. It was like, it has been 5 months already since it's not 5 months, dudes. We did that in December, it's like
Feels like
Almost
forever.
like
I mean,
a
it
year,
feels
yeah.
like forever.
Feels like
apparently.
forever.
feels like it has
Yeah.
been whatever. In that thread, it's pretty like the question was, I'm paraphrasing, it was like, it has been 5 months, which is not true. How do you feel with the change? And if you read through the comments, and that is really like essentially the summary of what we see everywhere. There's 3 types of comments. I would say like half, maybe a little bit more of people are straight up just happy, because I saw comments like, I played Brawl for 2 years, I didn't get a legendary, and now I get it. It's much more predictable, it's defined. People are applauding us for removing the loot box system as well, and say it's always better to not have the RNG there. So that is one type of comment. Then there's another type of comment, which is what Frank just touched on, like this nice, fun dopamine kick of the randomness. There's something cool, a surprise, all of something like that. And that is something we'd like to, look into, but don't expect a drastic change of how the system works on this side. It's just unrealistic. We're not going to bring back boxes in the way we had them. and I'd like to say that as clear as it is to not set wrong expectations. Loot boxes will not come back to Brawl Stars. And then last but not least, the last point is then about chromatic brawlers. And that some of you are unhappy and like how that currently works. It has to work like it is at the moment, but we're looking into that, and maybe sooner than later we'll make some changes there. We're also not super happy with how that structure works. For the record, it's just like currently, because the Brawl Pass Brawler needs to be like protected in a way, so that it's not easy for everyone to unlock. Because else, why would you buy the Brawl Pass in the first place if you could do that? We are a business and it needs to work in a way at least. But at the same time, maybe we went a little bit too harsh on how hard it is to unlock a chromatic brawler today.
Nice. Yeah, and then I think, as you said, like we run a business, and then that's the thing that nobody like is really transparent about. Like no gaming company really is transparent about. Like, and if you see the things that we do for the players, where we listen, we change because of feedback, I think we are like above the average of in the gaming industry.
Yes.
So like, yeah, praise to us, like applauses, because I think we do like a really good work when it comes to like listening and acting on what the community is talking about. But at the end of the day, if like we don't make the game profitable, then we have to kill it. Like it's simple as that.
Yep.
Yeah, or we have to, like, it's really, I don't want to dwell too much on this side, but there's a practical reality. We want to keep this game running, ideally, as long as possible. I mean, the four of us here in this room, and there's a whole team behind the scenes which loves working on this game, really. And we're trying to make it as good as possible. And that, again, is like, it's a win-win. Hopefully you have a lot of fun with it. And you find it that you can support that fun by spending a few bucks every now and then. And that's, all we're hoping for, really.
Yeah. New question from Edgar Official. This is the official Edgar. Official Edgar. It's in Spanish, so I have to do a live translation here. What do you plan for the next update? Without giving so much spoilers, some moment like does Fame has any will have like any use? I'm just translating on the fly.
Yeah,
sorry.
It's not bad.
The mastery, if there will be like mastery for game modes, which I actually saw the idea on Reddit. I think it's really fun. But yeah, so that is 4 questions. Let me summarize. Next update, maybe we can give like a very tiny spoiler. Maybe very tiny.
Very tiny.
Fame. What is the use of Fame in the future, and mastery for game modes?
Okay, let's start with Fame.
Let us start with Fame.
Let us start to talk about Fame.
Wait. About Fame.
Dani, I have no words. How long is this?
It's
the longest sound effect of the bunch.
So yeah. Okay, you might not like this, or maybe you do. I don't know. I've seen that argument popping up a few times. What Fame is really adding to the game, it replaces nothing. There was nothing else before there. It's like if your account was maxed at the end, there was nothing left, and opening more boxes would just give you more coins, but nothing else. Now, since we've built all of that, we removed the coin component entirely. That lives now in the tail end of the Brawl Pass and in other sources in the game, like Mastery. So that left nothing. And this nothing we replaced with with Fame as kind of a way to at least show off how much invested you are. And yeah, there's nothing more to it. I think with this update, now that we transition to having the battle cards at the beginning of the game, that already highlights that a little bit more. And I've seen, a few more positive comments popping up on the topic. But yeah, it's a replacement for what has previously nothing. And so there's very unlikely going to be any progression connected to this because, again, once you hit the end of the road when it comes to unlocking all your brawlers, there's just nothing else we can do. Your account is completed, and there's no such thing as unlimited progression because, again, going back to we're running a business. So it's really, really tricky balance to strike there. We thought instead of giving you nothing, we'd give you something you can at least show off your commitment to the game. And that has been our thinking. Now, there have been some comments on like, oh, maybe you could give us at least a profile picture and stuff like this. And I think we're totally open-minded about that. I'm not saying this is going to come in the next update or anything like this, but like having some potential to show off your fame in better ways makes a lot of sense and goes actually really well with the idea behind fame, because it's just about showing off. Yeah.
But I think at the same time it's showing off, but I think it's also, together with Mastery, it's a really good measurement of someone's kind of even skill level in a game. I think for me, when I queue up against someone and I see they have high brawler mastery plus a lot of fame, I'm like, okay, this guy's the real deal, you know? Like, I think it's I think it's much cooler. 'Cause before there was no way to tell how many brawlers someone had in a glance, especially at the start of a match, right? So I think the combination of the two actually creates a lot of transparency to your teammates and opponents alike, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of high-end players previously, when they looked at who's a good player, they looked at things like 3v3 wins or like maybe the XP level. And again, the XP level was just an expression of how long you're playing the game, really, and how much are you playing the game. So now the combination of mastery and fame is exactly that, just more visible, which gives you at least an information. You know, when you play a match, exactly what you just said, right?
Yeah.
Then you know, oh, this is the, or maybe that Mortis I don't want to mess with, or
Yeah.
something like this.
Yeah, I've seen some comments saying like, dude, he was Mars. Like,
Yeah.
I just reached Martian last weekend.
oh, so you're a Martian.
you have.
One of
Martian
those.
one. Martian
Wow.
One of those. Oof.
Getting close. Hopefully we'll get there in the real world at some point soon.
Yeah.
I am following those developments.
to Mars.
To Mars.
We're
To
just
Mars.
pivoting to Mars now. Okay,
No,
that's great.
it's
Okay,
great.
okay.
Then before the spoiler, like mastery for game modes. Any thoughts?
Well, when we put in masteries for brawlers, that was in part due to wanting to allow players to kind of show off their skill with a specific brawler, because you have to be quite good and quite dedicated, for that matter, to actually get to that title unlock. I think game modes for masteries is interesting. I think we'll have to think about the right way to approach that, especially if game modes get rotated out, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's some concerns there, but we're always looking for ways to allow players to show off kind of their accomplishments
Accomplishments.
Achievements?
and achievements or achievements in the game. So, certainly it's up for discussion.
Any opinions on that topic?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's actually a really cool idea in the future sometime. Because, I mean, yeah, our first wish was to show off your dedication to a brawler.
Yeah.
But I think equally, some people are really passionate about the game modes. So rest in peace, Siege. So yeah, it could be something we could consider for sure. I think it's super cool.
How about the spoiler? Have you thought about it?
Have you thought about the spoiler?
I'm trying to avoid spoilers.
I mean, no, but he already promised the spoiler.
Ah, you did.
Yeah.
A very tiny,
a small
tiny.
spoiler.
Tiny spoiler.
A tiny spoiler for next
Yeah,
update.
very tiny. It could be like about the brawler. Could be about a new season.
A tiny spoiler about the brawler, you say?
A trio gets completed with the next update, I think.
Is that true?
Wait, yeah, it is.
Oh, it is.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it only one trio that is missing one?
Yeah.
No, there's two.
No, like one trio of brawlers gets their third brawler with the next update.
wait, you're saying there's a brawler in the next update?
Can you do the bada boom?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, very tiny spoiler. Yeah, I saw that you did there. Okay. Next question. Let's go back to Twitter. It will make sense when the update comes
He's
out.
just entertaining himself.
Yes.
Oh, that was funny.
From Godake, a Spanish creator. He's asking about, I don't know if he's Spanish, it might be from another Spanish language, but sorry if I missed that, but I know he speaks Spanish. So, Star Park, will it continue in the future?
What do you mean continue?
Like,
Is that a
yeah,
question mark at the end?
let me,
Okay.
yeah, there is actually a question.
Oh,
mark.
okay.
But just like a context for that, like there are a lot of questions about lore. And I got this one to be the representative, like, so just so you don't think, you didn't pick up my question. Like, there are so many about lore, and I think like we can use this one to explain.
Yeah, Star Park never stopped, really. So it's constantly on our mind, actually.
Isn't that it?
I mean,
I can
Is there
go
more to say?
deeper.
do you want to go deeper?
I want to go
Go
deeper.
deeper.
Because like I guess I can explain a bit of the process we've been through. Because like when we released the Star Park campaign, and then like we revealed that Brawl Stars is in a theme park, like it was a huge moment. And then we felt like, oh, how can we top that now? And then we were always like trying to make something more impactful or more or cooler than that. And we never like really felt like, oh, this is not as cool. So like if you release this, it will be like, I don't care. So I think like I don't think like it was something that we can use as a example of a right call, because I think we kind of mess up a bit where we're trying to mix lore with the game content, and I think that was the problem, right? We never aimed a goal like we want to reveal this, and then we never really had like a clear goal. And yeah, we never like managed to top off the Star Park, even though like we were working with many creatives, many ideas, killing ideas. Like you've seen the Kairos deepfake, for example. It was one of the ideas we had for our next campaign. And then the thing is that we never stopped working on it. It's not that we don't like lore cease to exist. We just never managed to find like a really good idea that we're proud of to release. With that said, we are still working on it, and we still want to release something as cool as the Star Park. But as Frank said as well, like everything we create is based on the same on the same roots, right? It's like every brawler comes like from a region in the park, and then this region means something. So like sometimes they have relationships among each other. And actually, there is another question here that I want to already answer. There was one question saying like, what is the brawler we're most proud of, or like the brawler that you think there has a really good cool impact? And I think it was Bonnie and Janet, which was like, I think it's more important than it seems, because it was also a transition to our new concept artist. And she managed to like bring her new vision to an old vision from Paul, our old concept artist.
Yeah.
And it fits so well. I think like it's the best combination we have. And then when we released those two, we had so much fun art. I think it was the record. Like we broke the record of fun art, and it just fits like so well. And we created something new. Like we unite these two worlds. It fits so well. And yeah, I think like everything you create is based on the lore we are writing as we go.
There's a lot of stuff, I guess, like the community can't see today, because like there's these little snippets here and there. Sometimes you see it in a social post we have. Sometimes it's in an environment. Sometimes it's in a brawler description. So we are actually we keep like we never really stop dropping hints about the world. But I guess we haven't been as explicit as to release another Star Park investor video. Something like this, right?
Yeah.
But don't mistake it for like there is a story being developed in the background constantly. It's just what's on the visible level is not so much at the moment.
Yeah. And that's why it's not like sometimes it's a coincidence, but sometimes it's not, when people get like a post from 1 year ago and they put together like it is like, oh, they were thinking about that the whole time. And sometimes we are like, sometimes we build the foundation to like everything that we create is like on top of that. So that's why the connections keep popping up. Yeah,
I think when we started building the storyline for Brawl, which was before our global release, We started having all these discussions and conversations. You all know that we started as a science fiction game, was Project Laser, and then it became a Wild West game. But then when we went global, we were like, this is not our identity as a game anymore, and so let's come up with a cool storyline, and this is how Star Park was born. So I think that's now it's just into, building that out more. I think the mistake we made as a team is that we dropped this bomb, and then pretty much stopped.
Yeah.
Right. And in an ideal world, we would have kept telling the story of this world. And we have, but it's just not visible enough today. It's very, very hidden in a way.
It's very implied, more
yeah, it is. You have to read a lot between the lines, etc.
Yeah,
And
I think
we always had this grand idea that yes, there's some story which is developing, but we also wanted to be very community centric from the get go. From our original pitch before I became the game lead for Brawl, one of the 15 items on that list was let's be community centric more than any other Supercell game before. And Paul back then he really bought into that as well, and he was always of that opinion that let's have something like a blank canvas, and let's look what the community is doing with it. So let them play with it and let them dream of ideas and how everything fits together. And you see a little bit of that in the game today that influenced our thinking, that it went to the community and back. The best example I can give is Piper and Rico. We didn't come up with the idea that Rico and Piper are in love. It's kind of ridiculous if you think about it. But the community disagreed with that, and for them it was the thing. And actually, I'm not spoiling too much. I mean, you've seen the Valentine's video last year we did, right? Rico is falling in love, or is in love with a vending machine, because he's kind of also a vending machine. And then, of course, that goes south and everything. If you haven't watched that, go to YouTube, check it out. But yeah, so that was a touch to it. But even like the classic Ricochet skin we released Christmas 2 years ago or so.
Yeah.
It has like a bullet scrape from Piper's rifle and stuff like this. So we are taking what the community is doing and reintegrate it with our story arc, which I think is this living, breathing object, but the community as well has a place on the table.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Next question comes from Ray Saber. Will Supercell make campaigns? Supercell make campaigns solely? Will Supercell make campaigns solely about Brawler skins? It's written like that. It's not my fault. Will we ever get a?
You, Ray.
Will we ever get a contest where we have to make a ping like the Clash Royale one, or even a contest where you have to make a Brawler? That would be dope.
Would it be though?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Danny. I mean, maybe you have some opinions on it.
I would be up for it, but I think Supercell Make, I like how is it now where it's so simple. Like we just look at the idea, and of course, if the idea is well illustrated, it's better for us to understand the idea. But to have a Brawler campaign, how would you decide which is the Brawler you want, right? Is it because of the visuals? Is it because of the mechanic? We have to define very set, a strict set of rules. And yeah, it's very broad. I don't know if what you have in your mind is a visual, or is the mechanic, or I don't know, is the name, or which trio it belongs. So there are so many questions. And although I think it's a nice concept as well, I would like to experiment more with skins, because as you see as well, there's so many complaints once we pick the winner. Even though I try so many different options, right? And then we always get complaints. It's I want to have one campaign that this is good one. Everybody was happy with that, and then we can move forward to the next one. Yeah. But I think we didn't get there yet.
I guess it's so subjective, right?
Yeah.
Just different themes, people like different skins. Yeah, it's it's like agreeing on what the best topping is for a sandwich. You know, I don't think it's gonna happen.
No, it even starts earlier. It's agreeing of what is a sandwich.
Yeah, also true.
Right.
Define sandwich. Yeah.
No, let's not
We
go
had
there. Let's not go there.
Long team discussions about this topic specifically. It's like, but realistically, like any given skin map, whatever we show players, there will always be a good percentage of the community which just hates it,
Yeah.
and a percentage of players who loves it. It's like with any content we're throwing out, it's not only about make. It's like it's just like that. It's just opinions and personal taste, and that's okay. It's like I think there is nothing more boring than finding something everyone kind of can agree with. Super average. I'd rather have a skin which half of the community loves and half of the community hates. Like that is much better than there's some actual emotion there and some connection to the skin. While if you just do something average, nobody really cares about it. Nobody feel offended as well. It's like, yeah. But to go back to the question, I almost think like pins are a little bit too simple.
Yeah.
It's like there's not much even creative space there. They're very clearly defined what they are. So there's not much, it doesn't make much sense for us to have a make contest for pins.
I agree.
Yeah.
And brawlers are tricky. Because like brawlers is one of the few things in the game where we actually have quite strong opinions on how do they fit in the world, what can they do. Sometimes we are like, oh, how many assassins do we want to create this year? How many marksmen? How many support characters? And all of that. And so getting a community brawler at the right moment and right time, plus then even like thinking about reward structure for that, it's really tricky. We just have too strong opinions on brawlers as well. Like how do they fit the world, etc. It's like, yeah, I have a problem like thinking even like that would possibility is like it just does make very little sense for me.
Yeah, maybe we can try at some point. Like I wouldn't like throw the idea away, but maybe it's not the moment yet. I think the skins still need some improvements, and the community is still getting excited. At least like we're still getting more and more submissions.
I mean, if you do have brawler ideas, though, please continue to post about that. I mean, all of that, we definitely are monitoring all the time as to what fan art and content that community is creating, and we're paying attention. So that will certainly help.
Yeah, I think that's maybe
influence.
something worth mentioning exclusively, that we do monitor like a lot of places for a lot of ideas. And a lot of the ideas you guys suggest actually make it in the game. Maybe not originally how they were suggested, but in some shape or form they can shape what we put into the game. So keep giving feedback. At least I know for myself, at least for balancing, I get tons of good ideas for, from people suggesting reworks and gadget designs, gear designs. It's invaluable. So yeah, keep doing my job for me. Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
I think there's also like the whole like getting inspired by the community is I think a big theme for us in general. Like I mean, you will see Adrian, for example, interacting on Reddit, like explaining like his philosophy around balancing and so on and so forth. I think that's just true for everything we do. There's also the practical reality that there's a lot of community artists out there, and it happens quite frequently that we're creating a skin and something vaguely similar has been created before. And that is just bound to happen. If like you mentioned Janet, right? I wonder how many skin ideas which represent her as a pop star have been flying around before we made a pop star Janet. Tons. It is like it doesn't necessarily mean that this, if you created a skin like that, doesn't necessarily mean you directly inspired us to do the skin, because there might be a bunch of other people who did it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, of course, like we see your ideas and suggestions, and they can influence our thinking.
Yeah, and I think like if we do get things, like we see a skin like we need to have into the game, we'll talk to the artist directly. It's not that we are just gonna rip off the skin and that's it. It's ours. It's our IP. Yeah. So like we, some of the complaints I saw on social media, like I never seen the skin before, and then people say, "Oh, it's like similar to that." But yeah, like if people are making concepts about our IP, it's not like eventually you'll meet like this coincidence, right? But
and sometimes people in the community who create fan art end up, like doing stuff for us. I mean,
like working with us.
Yeah,
basically.
working with us. Like most of the tons of pins right now are created by someone who's previously worked on just, fan art of pins. And so Gonzalo, who's one of the UI UX guys on the team, he reached out to him and said, "Hey, would you like to do more of that and get paid?" And now he's a freelancer for us.
And a bit of context, Gonzalo also had a problem where he was trying to do something different because this guy, he was doing for every skin that we released. And then Gonzalo was working on the same thing, and I have now to think of something different because this guy done exactly how I would done it. So I'll just hire him.
Just hire him. Good solution, actually.
Yes.
Good solution.
Yeah, there's a few people who ended up like this. So the pins are one example, but we have some of our marketing fan art or marketing art now has been a fan artist before. So a bunch of the maps which come into the game now are coming from Mortis, who also did that, as a fan. He created this map maker tool as a fan, and now is getting paid to create maps. So it's we are really out there and trying to listen to the community and see what they put up.
Yeah.
Nice.
And what they don't put up with.
Indeed.
That also
yes.
is important.
Question from Wheezing to TF2. Wheezing to Team Fortress? What is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh, is there a fart joke in there?
I don't know.
TF2.
Anyway, is the developer team satisfied with the current state of the game? I guess we kind of responded that already. But do you guys feel like you made a mistake somewhere along the way?
State of the game is, of course, it's a pretty big
Broad.
and broad way of talking it. As a game developer of a live service game, I don't think you're ever really 100% satisfied with the state of your game. There's always something more to do. And if we would have unlimited resources, there would be maybe, there's so many ideas we have as a team we'd like to execute on. But it's it's an always work in progress. And as some people say, perfection is the enemy of greatness. It's really trying to push too hard to make something perfect. It's an impossible project. I think for the rest, I have a personal thing where I'm I think we made a mistake, and that was when we introduced power level 10 and 11 and the gears. And the basic design was for me, and we discussed about expanding on the characters and how can we go a little bit deeper, etc. And gears felt like a really nice way of doing this and giving players a lot of abilities to adapt the characters and so on and so forth. And technically, all of that worked, but it wasn't fun enough, or it was too pricey for the fun. And I mean, we heard that loud and clear, we made adjustments and all of that. But if I could go back in time, I would not introduce 2 power levels at the same time. I think that was a mistake. And now we cannot take it away anymore. But we are thinking about, can we still improve the situation from where we are today? We're not seeing a lot of complaints about gears anymore today, and I think gears are now in a solid state. But we're still thinking about the whole thing. And I think it informed a lot of our thinking about design and when we think about what features to work on and how to roll out. If we want to do the next power level at a point, how would that work? I think we have a better understanding today of the fun ratio a feature needs to have to justify another power level. Because another power level is just another sink at the end of the day. And it might make sense at a point to have another power level. No worries, not anytime soon. It's not on our
sweating
Yeah,
right
there's
now.
a lot of sweating going on.
not on our roadmap right now.
No.
But yeah, it's something I personally learned a lot from. I think
I think the whole team did for sure.
it's one of these situations where sometimes you might even have a hunch, and some people on the team, even DANI pointed out before, might not be that great. But then you feel we got to ship this and we're gonna do this, and then you do it, and then it doesn't fly. I think what's also another important thing for me personally is that it's okay to make these mistakes as long as you go back and address them and, face it, up front and just deal with it and make it better. Where like Brawl Stars gets an update every other month. So it's nothing that we cannot fix stuff if it's broken.
Yeah, and I think the key there is, we have to take risks. We have to be bold. We have to create cool stuff or try to create cool stuff. If we're just going to take the safe bets, it's going to be really unexciting. I think the game varies shortly. So we do want to, I think you can say, try bigger things and then, see how it works. And if it doesn't work well, we're happy to say, okay, we were wrong and we address it. Of course, everything takes time, but I think that's the baseline, at least, that we kind of strive to.
And I think maybe the context or like some line of thought on why we thought gears would work is because like it's very scalable. Like if you, as we said, like we need to be like a profitable business, and to think of like, oh, what if we do this idea where like I need like very little art, like because like it's just in a raw stats boost. Like I could expand my economy because like Brawl before, it was like so flat. It was so easy to max out, right? Like it still, Brawl is one of probably the most friendliest when it comes to free-to-play players.
For sure.
Yeah, so like when you look at the design, even though like you think maybe like players will find it a bit not so exciting or like they won't like, but they will strive towards like this extra level, it felt good on the paper and felt like this is a really good idea. And as you said, like I did point out, like maybe that's not so fun, but but like I'm part of the team. So like if the team agreed with this decision, then yeah, if you guys believe this is the way to go, then I'm all on board.
And we learned, of course, like the whole, like the whole idea around this was like we looked at Clash of Clans, right? And for them, another town hall level is a huge thing.
Yeah.
But what they got right and we got wrong is that they have a ton of gameplay behind that upgrade of the town hall level. And we had essentially a passive, which was kind of boring.
Yeah.
And with an exponential upgrade curve, it just feels bad. It's like it was an underwhelming moment, especially if the price tag is too high. And I mean, we ultimately agreed on that and we made a change. But I think that's also forward-looking, informing a lot of our thinking.
Yeah.
And I guess that brings me back to it's more important to get the learnings out of it and fix things instead of stopping to try out new things. I think there was also one of the earlier question was like, will there be other huge changes or something? I think you should expect us to do big things and try out big things. And yes, they might fail, but that's ultimately okay in my book at least. So I'm okay with us failing when we execute on these bigger items if we really believe in that they can make a difference. And then if they don't work, because things are incredibly hard to test when you have millions of players. And we are a group of like 30, 40 people here. And even if we throw it to testers, like they might not look at it the same way like our community does actually. So it's very, some things are impossible to test. Again, the Gears update is a great example of that because technically it worked, but it wasn't fun enough.
Yeah, and back to kind of the earlier point that Frank brought up around live service game development, you can think of it sort of like you're kind of pushing this boulder, which is your game, kind of up a hill. And if you're not constantly thinking of ways to keep pushing it up and getting it to a higher point, then actually it doesn't stay still. It actually degrades over time. And so, when we take these bigger risks, if they pay off, we can push that boulder up further. And if you can think of the top of the mountain as like the funnest, if that's a word, the funnest Brawl Stars you can have, which we're all inspired to do, then we want to push that as far up as possible. And so taking these risks will help us in those regards. And we think that's really important. So, and we'll learn from them. And at least that means that decisions are being made, right? If we're not taking risks and we're just staying stale, then we're not making decisions. Just find those mistakes and we'll fix them later.
Yep.
I think there's one more thing I want to say about this. When So it's incredibly, like, our player base is so diverse in what they like doing and how they play. Occasionally I'm posting on Twitter about the average trophies and how many % of people are in which bracket of trophies, etc. And people on Twitter are always surprised when they see that our average player is in fact just around 13,000 trophies or something. Maybe now it's 14,000. But it's like, that is the average. There's a bunch of people who are below that, who just play Brawl Stars casually for fun. They have 10, 15 minutes here and there, and they just want to, have some fun. So for us, making a game that is, on one side, super casual friendly, and on the other side, we have literal pro players who are playing this for a living. So how can both be true at the same time? And sometimes we break things for the pros, knowing that it will break things for the pros, knowing that it will create imbalance, because it's fun for the majority of our players.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, I think, it's one of these. I don't want to apologize in advance, but we're gonna keep introducing things which will break the game one way or another. In an ideal world, we make features which work for everyone, and I guess Masteries now have been one of those examples where we made it pretty easy for new players to have some fun with it. You don't need to be hardcore to unlock some of the rewards you get for a brawler, but at the same time, if you don't care about Masteries at all, you can just play the game. It's not getting in your way. And eventually you will unlock some rewards on that track. But if you're really into it, you can also really sink time, unlock the pin, the profile picture, and the Mastery titles. And that is, of course, the ideal scenario that people are like, we're creating features which work for everyone. But it's unrealistic to expect that works all the time.
Mm.
Yep.
That was a great question. We were on that for like 20 minutes.
It's something we think about a lot.
Yeah,
Very
very
good question.
passionate.
There is only
Very
38
passionate
left.
Oh, great. Nearly done.
Will the day ever come? From Moody02. Will the day ever come when the director of Star Park will come out as a brawler?
I mean, never say never, right?
I mean, we literally talked about it, but
Yeah.
there is nothing concrete.
No.
No. Okay, no, that's the answer.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just no.
That was a quick one.
Yeah.
That's good.
No period.
Good balance.
Why Spike doesn't have a voice from Twi-Fui?
He couldn't tell you.
Is that a real name?
And one of these days we can get a troll username.
Spike is a mute. There has been a mistake in the past where in the marketing video, before Brawl Stars as a story arc had been established, had a voice that was a mistake. It was never discussed with the game team either. I'm not throwing marketing under the bus. But
Just did.
I'm so sorry.
They're right under there.
But that's the truth. So it was a communication hiccup on the inside. It happened before the story had been established. But yeah, Spike is just a mute. He doesn't have vocal cords. He cannot speak.
Yep.
Does
That's it, I guess.
Does it answer the question?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no
So it's
stuff.
intended. That's what
It's
I guess.
intended.
It's
It's
intended.
intended.
As per design. As
You
As
will
far
never-
as you know.
He will never ever get a voice, as far as you know. As far as we know.
No, stop.
Yeah.
V. A question for everyone here. What is your favorite brawler? We can start with Adrian.
This guy. Yeah,
He's-
I like Crow. What can I? Okay, his stick. Maybe his stance. Yeah, I love Crow because I think he's very flashy. I think he's not a classic assassin where you get really up close and personal. Like he plays more of a chip damage dealer, and then he has those flashy moments when you jump in and finish someone off, and it's really cool. So by far, Crow.
I was about to say, you're not getting up close and personal.
You are
literally
at times,
jumping on
at
people.
times, but not like Edgar or Mortis or any tank.
Isn't it literally like Edgar?
No.
Well,
See, that's why you don't play Crow or Edgar because you don't
It's
know
like
how to
Edgar
play
with
them.
feathers.
Edgar with feathers. I will not take that.
That was the pitch.
but why is your win rate then below 50%?
So you have.
Oh.
I thought we wouldn't lie on this podcast. Come on, man. That's just a plain
No
lie.
lies detected.
Yeah, that was a lie. Anyway,
Frank, why don't you continue?
I really like Otis. It's definitely my favorite brawler because, generally I don't think I'm as good. Certainly in this room, with these three fine gentlemen. I am not the strongest player by far. I'm probably the least. Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate it. But Otis gives me a shot.
How many trophies do you have actually?
Let's I'm in the 5 digits. I'm pretty high 5 digits, mind you. Actually, Frank thought that I didn't unlock a brawler that has that eligible is for a trophy reset. And I had to prove him wrong by literally showing him my phone, just so he knew.
You have to give the full
that
story.
I actually did get to 500 trophies among a couple. I would say more than a couple brawlers. One of those brawlers that I really like is Otis, because if you can get the super timed perfectly, because accuracy is not my main jam, then you can destroy somebody, or your teammates can. I really like support-based brawlers, and I do consider Otis support in some regard, so that other people can take him out once you've silenced. So definitely top of list.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Frank?
Jean. I love Jean. It's like actually in beta days, I think Barley for the longest of time was my main, so to speak. I always liked Barley, and then at a point, at a point I liked most throwers. But once Jean came out, and he kind of prevailed as my go-to brawler. When I played Overwatch in 2016, 2017, there was this hero they have in the game called Roadhog. And I love that guy. He's a very similar mechanic. He has different mechanic. He has like a super where you can hook someone, or an ability where you can hook someone and then you grapple them close and you have a shotgun or something.
Yeah.
Jean plays very differently from that, but the hook mechanic is still there. It's a skill shot, which I really like. I like the high stakes. Jean is actually he has really low DPS, so you really need to, time it well when you want to engage and when not to engage, and then it's a skill shot, so there's still a good chance that you fail. And it's just fun for me. It's like a little bit poke damage here and there, build up the super, wait for your moment.
And miss it.
And miss it. Yeah, that happens. That happens to
More
the rest
often
of us.
than not.
Yeah.
70% win rate.
Okay. But yeah. Frank is single-handedly responsible for forcing me to make the Jean mythic gear, by the way. So.
That's
Would you
might
say
be true.
he
That might
forced
be
your
true.
hand?
Yeah.
Oh,
What?
My God. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm Danny, yeah.
I'm always in Adrian's ears to buff Jean a little bit more, but he's like
Because he literally sits next
He
to
sits laterally next to
Yeah, so that's
Adrian.
also...
so every day,
Yeah.
every
Is
day.
it-
actually.
is
It's like a
time? Is
devil
it
on the
time?
shoulder kind of thing. It's like, buff Jean. Just buff him.
Yeah.
A bit
I'm
more
like, no.
DPS. A bit more DPS.
Well,
Bit
Danny,
more
do we
range.
even have to ask you, or...?
No, but I have two, and
okay.
I recently realized why. So I really like Piper because of that I have to predict where the player is going, but it's not only predicting by logic, like the way it's going. You have to go into their minds,
Yes.
because if they are dodging to the left, then so probably they are dodging to the right now because I'm always shooting at the left. And then the other one I really like to play is Dynamite, which is the same concept. You have to if you're always throwing the bombs there and then they're always dodging to one side, then you're like, oh, maybe I'll just try to go to the other side and see how it goes. And then, my favorite moment with Dynamite is when a Mortis is coming at me and I know where he's going to dodge. And then I just throw there on the side and then they get stunned. And
Yes.
it's so satisfying.
Yeah, especially if you hit many in a row. Like you hit one and then you hit the super when he tries
Yeah.
to go away. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
So which star power do you use?
I don't use Dynajump, of course.
Thank you. You heard it here first, folks.
Of
Dyna
course.
Jump's a meme.
Yeah, I don't know how to use Dynajump, by the way. I didn't mention actually the name of this person is Umberto Leon.
Okay.
Umberto.
Thank you for the question. It's a
Thank
good
you for
question.
the question. Tusha Daystar. When will my favorite game mode, Siege, come back?
I feel like I touched on this, to be honest. But
Yeah.
Skip. No.
No, but you can go deep why Siege was removed.
Yeah.
Again. So
yeah.
it really performed badly. And when we say badly, that of course it doesn't. If you really loved Siege, that doesn't make your feelings towards Siege ineligible or anything like that. It's like we still understand that Siege had fans, but in the bigger scheme of things, most people were not fans of Siege. And since we have only so many slots where game modes rotate, it's really like every slot you add needs to have value to the game in a way, because else you're diluting the matchmaking pool. Things get softer and softer. Things take longer and longer, and it's just not great for the game overall. When you have a game mode which actually doesn't do well, it's bad for the game as a whole, even though it's just one mode. I don't think. I mean, the iteration of Siege we removed from the game was not the first iteration. It was a much longer game mode in the beginning, etc. And we might in the future experiment with it again. So I wouldn't rule out that we weren't gonna go back to it. But it would need some serious passion for someone in the team to come up with a cool idea. And that's, I guess, how we're often doing it. Like most of the game modes come from someone in the team where like, oh, we should try a game mode like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I guess, improvements to existing game modes is also something we want to try to do. Because, I mean, that's happened a few times already, but I mean, there's a lot of times where we just feel, oh, this game mode is great, but it could be even better if, you know, and we're not opposed to touching existing game modes in positive ways either, in our opinion, again. Yeah. So.
And also, things like, there were some game modes which...
Crow is dead.
Crow just died.
Man.
Oh no!
Even
worse.
He's like, oh god.
Oh, this is super long.
Ooh, let's play this out.
It's not looking great, is it? No, anyway.
Wow, that's pretty long.
You think if they made these merchandise with big heads, they would give you...
We're so far from the mic. like 2 meters far.
He's also... Does he look sleepy to you?
He's just melted in with the background.
Get the man some caffeine, please.
I'm finding these conversations hilarious.
What were I saying?
Siege.
Payload. No.
Okay.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I wanted to talk about like other game modes where we saw something in them, and then they're just not quite there. And Payload is one of them. There were a bunch of fans of this mode, but then I guess the way it like blocked players or moved players around, or you couldn't shoot through it, that was just frustrating. Too frustrating. But essentially it's like a mobile hot zone, right? You just need to stay in there. And maybe there's a place for Payload to come back eventually. I guess we will ask the community after making some improvements.
Yeah. And of course, like Siege was there for such a long time that once it's out, of course, like it will be the most beloved game ever released, right? But when it was there, nobody was playing.
Factually, it wasn't, unfortunately.
We also just talked about it today. I guess even the three of us. Knockout. It's almost a reverse. When Knockout was released, there were a lot of people who didn't like Knockout, especially some pros. I'm not naming names, but people didn't like Knockout, and now actually we see that it's one of the more popular modes in our rotation. People like Knockout because it's also like, I guess it's a mix of if you're good, you beat the enemy team, you have faster matches, and that feels really nice. And ladder at least. But even in Power League, I think we're always happy when Knockout comes on rotation.
I feel like it's that, but also the feeling of agency you can have as one player. Like if you beat your opponent in lane, you create such an enormous advantage in comparison to maybe other game modes. Like of course at the highest level, it's still a big advantage. But at lower levels, the enemy respawns and then it's kind of stalemate again. And But in Knockout, it's very clear you're done.
Or the other way around, right? When it's like 2v1 and you get one, you're like, now it's game time.
Game time.
I'm gonna beat
and then you die.
Yeah, like today. When you pipered into an enemy team, when you nearly clutched it.
Let me describe.
Nearly clutched it.
Okay, describe it.
So it was 2v1, it was B and Feng.
Yes.
No, B and Bow.
B and Bow. Yeah. So it was 2v1, I was Piper, I killed Bow, and this is easy, it's just B. Like I can.
And you hit one shot actually.
I hit one shot, and then I misstep my super, and then I jumped towards her.
Right into B and died a horrible death.
Yeah. So then she used like the honeycomb, and then I couldn't kill because I'm Piper, and then it was so close to me.
We still won the game though.
Yeah,
we did win the
still
game.
won
Yeah,
the
for
game.
the record, we did win the
But
game.
it was
yeah.
like a 2v1 moment. I'm like, yeah, this is my time.
This could have been a great moment.
It could have been. Yeah.
But yeah, so those moments are really cool. in Knockout.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite game mode, V?
I really do like Knockout also.
Okay.
Just because of the tension that you get, and when you're down 2v1, or even when you're down 2v3, it's like I love just how many moments of excitement there are for like being able to come back, for instance, and whatnot. So it's certainly my favorite. I like duels as well, but only because I get to use Edgar and make some sick plays.
Sick plays, by the way. You mean waiting for your super and jumping on top of
Absolutely,
someone?
absolutely.
Sick plays.
I don't think people realize that like there is a massive skill gap between not everybody on the Brawl team is at the level of trophies that these three gentlemen are at, which are very close to, if not above 40,000 trophies. And myself being less so, I will say one thing, which is I'm trying to watch out for the casual players too. And if nobody on team is willing to be a little worse at Brawl, then maybe we don't get as much a voice for the silent. There's a large silent group of players
Who are not that good.
Are never on Reddit, are never on Twitter. But if you put something good in
That's
the
true.
game, they will play. And if
Yeah.
you don't, they won't.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to watch out as much as we can. We use data. We use other means of trying to get at who those people are, and we also try to do good by them.
I mean, I guess that's a cool, actually, small segue because we do have people on the Brawl team who are all of different experience, who play different amounts per day, all of that. So we actually try to keep every kind of group represented within the team itself, and it brings a lot of good discussion in whenever we make a new feature or something, because you'll have, for example, me, Frank, and Danny will have a maybe quite hardcore opinion at times, while someone like V will bring the more casual opinion. It's not even offensive. It's just factual. But it's really important, So because that means we can actually cater to the whole community and not just the vocal few.
Right.
Yeah.
What are other game modes you guys like?
I like Jules. I really do.
Brawl Ball.
Brawl
Is there a
Ball,
number
Knockout
one mode?
Ball.
Yeah, Brawl Ball Knockout.
No showdown spinning connoisseurs?
I like duels.
I just hide in
sometimes.
grass and
I like
Showdown.
duels.
It's-
You
I
just
like
hide in grass. You're one of those.
I'm one of those.
You're one of those.
This is
Wait.
why I love Otis. Why do you think I got the plan figured out? Otis, Buzz,
Okay.
the trifecta. Wait, that's only two brawlers. That's
the
not
trifecta.
What is it saying?
But-
Did you just leak 3-player showdown?
Yeah.
3-player showdown.
I don't know what to press here. J Kaiser Gaming. What is your opinions on a potential story mode? Could be offline as well. I don't know.
Offline.
Offline store.
What's offline?
Offline?
Is he referring to like if the Brawl IP is in like a different game? Is that what?
No,
he
no,
means?
No,
story
no.
mode.
No.
Oh, story.
It's like you play
This thing,
single or
PvE.
yeah, PvE.
Oh.
Yeah, so like not PvP basically.
I mean, we talked about it like August last year, right? Like we want to do more with PvE and have the ability to tell cool stories. And it was one of the items we did work on actually. But it wasn't good enough. That's a short version. I think we didn't feel this was doing it justice, I guess,
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah, I think we were excited about the idea, but we didn't have the time to execute on the really cool grand visions we had at that moment. So I guess want to revisit it when the time does allow, but not maybe right now. Could be one way to put it.
It's like PvE is a huge undertaking. It's like
Yeah.
first, like, most people come to Brawl Stars for the PvP.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. And then besides that, it's like, again, we have like bigger ideas. So it's not easy to execute on those. It's like, think of like cool boss fights which go beyond the robots we have in the game today. Maybe some, minions and different flows in general. But this is all content which needs to be created. And the effort of creating some of these is as big as creating a brawler. And that's quite high effort from our side. So, yeah, I guess it's something we'd like to go back to eventually. But at the moment, we have other things we focus on.
Yeah, and also if we release PvE, we want to, kind of like our current PvE mode, like we want players to be able to enjoy playing them for a sustained period of time. And given kind of the undertaking of it, what we don't want to do is release a whole new PvE mode. Let's say it's super fun, and then, we drop support for it because we got to focus on other areas, which is part of the reason why the current PvE mode is designed to kind of have some amount of this replayability. And if we were to do something more, we'd want to think about that as well. Like we don't want to have these orphaned game modes that, don't have continued support. And so this is one of the many factors that is considered. But we all on team, like we were super excited when we undertook the PvE game mode stuff that we were working on.
And man, I'm really I'm a little bit sick and tired of the current weekend modes.
Yeah,
I think everyone is.
Not everyone. Maybe the old OG players, but maybe the new ones.
Yeah, new ones obviously they like it.
It's like I don't know how it's like sometimes you even the PvP ones like big game. You entered and sometimes people don't even play. Like the big boss and they're just spinning. It's like so lame. It's like it feels like more of a chore than fun.
Yeah.
I guess when we talk about PvE, it's a lot more about how can we make this fun? It's just like long term,
replayable, right?
Replayable.
Like that's the thing.
It needs to be fun for a long time to justify the effort we're putting into this.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, the replayability for me is the key because at the moment, like the current game modes we have, they're really fun until you figure them out. And until you find the cheeses, for example, in some of the game modes. And after that, it's just repetitiveness, right?
Yeah.
Like you're just doing it for the tokens. It's not really exciting or engaging. You're not looking forward to those moments, maybe in the way we hope that you would. So that's something we definitely would want to deal with.
But when we introduced boss fight, and I mean, people were really trying hard to beat the levels.
Yeah,
and that people were, YDE, like he posted on, I think it was on Reddit back then when he beat a new level. And Semantic did that too, I think. Like, so those are some of the pro players for everyone else. So I think we want that excitement back, but have it in a sustainable way.
For sure.
Yeah, so pretty much like the roadmap thing we said back then. Like we had a prototype. It wasn't like super fun, and then we decided to postpone. So like it's still in the back of our minds, but then maybe it's not like it's... Yeah. I don't know I don't have an ETA or anything.
No, it was not even like, so the idea we had there was strong, but supporting that idea with enough content to keep it fun, that we could just not guarantee at that point, right? So we didn't. And I think actually that was going back to the learnings from earlier. I think that was somewhat of a learning for us to, no, we're not going to ship this because it doesn't feel complete. It doesn't feel like it's as good as it could be.
Yeah.
So I guess it's more of a promise then. So if we ship it, whenever that is, likely not this year, then it's going to be cool and fun. And we're going to enjoy ourselves as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's a great measure stick for us.
Yeah.
Are we enjoying ourselves playing this thing?
Yeah. Exactly.
PS Felix 17. That's there's no filter in this question, so
oh wow.
No, it's not so aggressive.
Warning.
Will useless gadgets and star powers be reworked or improved at the moment? Rarely anyone uses. It's very weird written, but that's it.
But that's the core of the question. I mean, I guess I can take it because I work mostly on that. So short answer is yes. When and what and how is still in the air. But essentially we have a lot of ideas as to what star powers, what gadgets are used less than others. We have a pretty good idea of why. Some just require balancing, like numbers. But some are simply requiring complete redesigns. Like I would take RTs, for example, gadget as a great example. I had this great idea, in my opinion, that the relationship between the legs and the head should be should be defined in a gadget. And I thought it was really cool on paper. But in the game, it turns out you're not ending up in that situation that often. So more often than not, the gadget is pretty useless if we're honest about it. So that's a great example of something that would actually need a redesign at some point. And there's a lot of those examples, I think. And it's just, when do we have time? to do it, because we have to prioritize our content, and which ones do we feel are the worst contenders and the worst offenders, rather. So that's in short my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
All right.
No other strong statements on this.
No. Then Potato NDL 1709
That's a good name, by the way.
Oddly specific.
is very technical. Do you guys can fix the crashing games happen at low-end devices? Maybe you can talk about
So I guess I can talk about this one as well. Yes, a double whammy. So yes, in short, we always want to make sure that anyone and everyone, as many people as possible, can play Brawl Stars. This is the baseline we're straining towards. Of course, if you have a really old device, it's going to run worse than if you have a newer device. That's just going to be the case no matter what. What is, of course, striving against this is as we add more content and more features into the game becomes heavier to run. So we have to optimize, and we do optimize. But no matter how much we optimize, the technical limit will hit at some point, which means there is simply nothing we can do with existing technology that exists to make it essentially much better on lower-end devices. Not to say we're not trying, but the more stuff we add, the usually a little bit worse it's going to get. That's the short version of it.
a follow-up question from me, because
Yes.
I see that
What?
actually people asking that as well. But would there be an option of lowering the graphics or whatever, something that like you play a poorly version of Brawl Stars, but it at least would run smoother? Is it a possibility?
Yes. So cut this, by the way, if it's NDA. But yes. So yes, we are working on basically a lower graphics kind of system and compression that will hopefully help with this. So yes, it is possible. That goes under the optimization umbrella. We're not going to have a setting for it, but basically the game will recognize if your device is bad and use another setting.
Old.
Yes.
There's a. I think what's also worth pointing out. There's just a lot of different Android devices specifically.
Yes.
It's just like there's no. The beauty is on Apple's side in that regard, because like you only have so many devices to deal with. So at some point, like the platforms like Apple and Google, they're starting to unsupport a specific operating system version, and then that's where as a developer, okay, now we also stop supporting this. So it's pretty much we follow like both Apple and Google there whenever they are phasing out devices which don't support an operating system anymore. But even when you remove those, which are the lowest of low end by this time, then there's still a gazillion different Android devices. All different form factors, different GPUs, different CPUs. It's like so vastly different. So you cannot even technically, like it's almost impossible to test all of them, even if we try.
It's literally impossible, because also, fun fact actually, the same device can be very different. So if you have, I don't know, a Galaxy S9, and Danny has a Galaxy S9, they might have a different chipset. And that makes it very tricky. So when two people go, okay, I don't have this issue on this device, and someone says, no, but I do. Yeah, that might be true, even though you have the same device, because they might be fundamentally different in how they work. So that makes it even trickier. All that to say, yes, we absolutely want Brawl Stars to be playable. It is just very tricky to iron out and optimize for all the devices possible.
And of course, like it's super important for us to have as little crashes as possible in the game, and we're constantly striving to make that happen. Practical reality is it will never be 100% crash free.
But close.
As close as possible to that, yeah. 99%.
99.8, I think.
Yeah.
Repeating, of course.
Yeah.
So repeating.
Repeating, of course.
8.
Okay.
That's not a Brawl thing, by the way. Like I was playing, like
No.
throwing God of War under the bus. I was playing God of War, and like the voices disappear. Like there's so many bugs, and it's a AAA game, right? Like people use AAA games as a reference. It's like every game has bugs, and some bugs are still critical, even though like it's cheap, it's patched. Something will always pop up because like you fix something and then maybe it changes something because of the fix, and then you break something else. It's like you'll never find a bug-free.
Game.
Yeah.
No,
a game without bugs.
Yeah, it doesn't exist, but that's okay. I mean, the point is to go into bugs. I mean, the point is just to prioritize. Like, what do you guys? What is ailing you the most? Like, what is the biggest problem when you are playing Brawl Stars? What's the bugs that make you the most annoyed? And that's usually the same for us. And our bug list goes very much in line with that. Of course, we can't fix all the bugs, like Danny said, but we're trying our best to get the worst ones every update, every maintenance, every optional, etc.
Right.
A Quack, a pro player. Is he from France? I think he's French.
French or Belgian? I don't know.
Yeah. Why on other games you can play only on your servers, and on Brawl Stars you wait 5 to 10 minutes to play again, and then when you play again you go to other regions?
Yeah, I assume Ikwak is pretty high in trophies
he's
and
a pro
high
player,
in Power League, right? So first, that's a problem actually most people don't face every day, or not at all, playing Brawl. So Brawl was conceived as a global game from the get-go. So our server infrastructure is built in a way that, you know, if you're in Japan and you play with a friend in Germany, you can do that. It won't be a great experience, but you can. And all Supercell games have been structured that way since forever. We always try to have truly global games where you can have friends even in different places, spectate someone in a different place. And there's good use cases for that, where you actually like, oh, you can, you know, just spectate someone in Japan from Europe. You can in-game befriend them, etc. You won't have a great experience playing with them in a match, though. Our servers are generally trying to place you on the best servers. That is pretty complex, and there's a lot of... We actually had a video series about that with Ark at a point where we explained a little bit like how complex it is to find the right servers for you, to make sure, you know, everything is going smooth. But yeah, at the end of the day, when you're in the top 1 percentile or so, and I guess Equark is even like in the top 0. Something percent, if you have 60, 70,000 trophies, yes, it will take you longer to find a right match. And of course, since we are trying to, you know, just imagine matchmaking is a bubble, and that bubble expands in multiple dimensions. It's like 4D. It's 3D. It expands in who do I pair you with in regards to trophies. That's one dimension. And another is then what is the latency? And it expands in both directions. So it might find someone who's lower trophies than you eventually, because they are like at 800, 900 trophies and you're at 1,200 trophies. Eventually will be matched depending on how long the 1,200 trophies player waited. That's why it takes like 5 minutes at a point or longer. And in the other dimension, it's the same. Maybe I find another 1,200 trophies player, but he's further away. And it's not ideal latency-wise. And the moment, you know, that happens not for one player, that happens for every player on this planet. And eventually these two bubbles, they touch. And the moment they touch, it's a match. And yeah, and it is not, usually it's not a 1 versus 1 thing, right? Yeah. So the game needs to find 6 players or 10 players. And so it's this complex construct of bubbles of matchmaking, which is slowly expanding in our little bubble verse. And yeah, that's how it happens. So the alternative is just, we could have a hard rule, and then you might wait like 4, 5, 6x as long, you know, and we just know from experience that nobody likes to wait 30 minutes for the perfect match when the match takes 80, 90 seconds on average.
Yeah, and I guess he did compare to other games. So then, like, maybe if you play League of Legends, like you wait 10 minutes to play a 30-minute match, it makes sense. But if you wait like 10 minutes to play a 2-minute match, it's like...
Yeah. No, and like I remember in League, for example, there were like moments where, depending on where you are, you know, you can wait 45 minutes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like
I was waiting hours.
And that's maybe like at someone it becomes tolerable if you have it like on a second screen, you know, on your PC, and you're just waiting and you're watching a Netflix show or whatever. But yeah, for us it just doesn't make sense. Whenever we tune towards optimizing for better matchmaking, that led to slower matchmaking. And slower matchmaking always had the same result. Our players in that region would drop We tried that out in Australia specifically, and we could literally, the day we turned on the servers and prioritized those servers for players from there, we saw the amount of people playing in Australia drop. So it's just the practical reality of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you asked this question because it allowed the issue to bubble up to the surface.
Whole Karob. I won't say the numbers anymore, okay? Whole Karob.
Yeah, sure.
Why not add Danny Piper?
That's a great
$1 million question.
That's a
$1
great
million
question. You're going to break his heart live? Is that
Why?
what you're
I'm
gonna
not
do?
sure if I will.
I have a professional answer, though.
Oh, yeah, please.
Oh, okay.
I do have a professional answer, which is I think one of the dangers of adding people on the dev team to in-game is that we experienced this at my prior company where if something happens to that person, let's say they do something that is, even after they've left the company, for instance, and they do something
Illegal.
or inappropriate, then
Don't
there-
you
Okay,
trust
Danny.
me?
And I don't know, this guy
and I'm
looks...
not saying
Pretty shady.
He
I'm
does
not
look pretty shady.
pretty
I'm
shady.
not-
That's true.
that's
And we all know what you're implying, V.
You don't have to hold back your feelings.
Just let it out. Let it out.
I mean, and I will say it was rough trying to remove when you have, especially if they're so systemic to the game.
Yeah.
It's really hard to remove them afterwards. And these things are really tough. And I think there was just a rule at the company I was at that we would just no longer do that. Now, fortunately, I don't think any of those incidents have happened, here, knock on wood, at Supercell. But it's certainly something to keep in mind if we were to go ahead to do that.
Yeah. I think that's one good reason of not doing
Yeah,
it.
that's a
Maybe I don't have to break your heart anymore.
We already did. Yes.
There's another reason. Less than 1% of you are on social media, of you as our community.
You that
So-
are watching and listening to this.
So it's like for the vast majority of our players, 99%, it would be just really weird. They would be like, why? And it's like, yeah, it just doesn't make sense in the context of a skin, which we typically also sell. So yeah, holistically, it just doesn't really make sense. Well, some of you would appreciate that. I mean, I would appreciate it.
I would.
I really like you.
Wow.
But
Wow.
Glad we have that
it just-
on
it's
camera.
not awkward at all.
Can we have some like slow sex?
I don't have a lot.
We don't have a
Oh, that's enough.
So yeah. But I liked Frank's answer better than mine.
Yeah, and I actually had a point like
Franks.
against that, but like I think your answer is actually really good. Like of course, like I trust myself that I wouldn't
Sure.
do anything illegal after Supercell or anything. But is it something that maybe like people surprise you, right?
Yeah.
And like it is like a huge risk. And then what do you gain? Maybe
Yeah,
it's
for
fun.
sure, for sure.
Yeah, it's fun for a little bit,
Yeah.
novel. But at what cost? Yes.
So maybe April Fools. Huh?
Huh?
Okay, let's go.
Mhm.
Stop Des. Those names are the best.
Stop this.
Do you sometimes play Brawl Stars in your office? And is there someone who clearly established himself as the best player?
We all know.
Clearly not V. Clearly
it's
not
not
V.
me. That is the certainty.
But I think it's also clear who is the best. Let's be honest.
Really? Yeah. At what exactly?
All Brawl Stars.
Wait, I think it's between you two because like
No.
I know that
It depends on the brawler.
I think I'm good mechanically,
Yes.
and that's it. Like, but I'm really bad at like picking brawlers. I never know who to pick, and then when I play
Adrian
solo,
too, and
I always call our drafts and they're always perfect.
you always think Buzz.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway,
But I think if we had to pick one who is the best, I would say it's Adrian.
Oh,
think so?
Yeah, I think it's more
Man, do you still
more of
like,
a.
do you still like Danny as much as you said you did, or
I'm not
is
sure
that
if I'm-
opinion
I'm
changed?
not
It's
sure
on
if I'm
camera.
agreeing.
Do you
I'm
think
very
it's you?
hard to-
Like
no,
genuinely?
no, I don't
Then
think
who
so.
is it?
I would say you mechanically. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Wait, wait.
So
so,
he
it's,
really
like
liked me.
it's like this. It's
Wow.
like this.
No, it's
Look
like
at the love here.
I-
Oh.
He's just giving me the
Kill me
side
now.
eye. It's not this guy. As long
No.
as it's not this guy.
No, yeah. I mean, like, obviously, the three of us are playing in a team,
Yes.
right? So, and I guess we're not making a secret out of that. The three of us are playing. We're in the same club. We're playing the same power league. We're playing all the challenges together. So more often than not, we are pushing together, etc. as well. So it's really like because we have a similar level, and it kind of makes sense. But I guess each of us are also better at specific brawlers.
Yes.
You know, like when it's about when someone's playing Piper, it's typically DANI. When it's about Jean, I'm playing Jean. Adrian is playing aggro brawlers a lot, like Buzz and Ash and Co. So I guess because our play styles are also somewhat compatible, it kind of works. I think that's what people underestimate. It's usually not just about skill. It's also about like, you know,
adapting, versatility.
working well together.
Yeah.
But yeah, we play a lot. I guess at least club league matches we play together. At the beginning of the power league season, we play together. Sometimes we just push together. So yeah.
I mean, we try to make a point of trying to play a little bit at least each day. Not always. We don't always manage to, especially if we're really busy at work and stuff like that, delivering cool content, wink, wink. But yeah, we do try to make a point to play together as much as possible.
And you know, on days when there's a brawler release, etc., it also happens that we are, you know, pushing from the office, etc. Today was a release of Willow.
Great release.
Flawless release, of course,
Nothing
as usual.
happened. Yeah.
We watched the YDE on stream, you know, and some of us playing as well. So it's like, yeah. Currently, a few people on the team are pushing Masteries and try to get their titles.
Shout out to ID and Trevor. Trevor is also
Trevor was also on stream.
True.
It's true. Playing Rocket League for some reason.
Yeah. But he play Willow. He's playing Willow now.
Yeah, I know.
Zoot Allures. When is my chubby dinosaur going to get a friend? Buzz, if you...
A chubby dinosaur. It's like, who... The bus is kind of ripped. I don't know. Chubby? Okay, no, but yeah, I don't know.
Dead bot. 2 out of 3 got it. Did you find it? Oh my god, really?
That's the one.
Why do I deserve
Amazing
this?
timing.
That's the one.
Amazing timing. We don't know.
Yeah. But of course, like the goal is
Some
to
of
have,
us know.
like the goal is to have all trios completed, right?
Yes.
So eventually it will happen.
It will happen. It will happen.
But maybe it could be like, it's almost like a meme, right? So maybe he will never get just so it
Oh
becomes
no,
more
why
funny.
would you say that?
Yeah,
Danny?
like-
Forever alone.
You just want to break
Forever alone.
hearts. Come
And then
on.
you can always tease like, oh, it's a dinosaur, but it's another trio.
He's like,
Wow.
so mean.
The velocity, like, but next to Buzz Ego, I'm not sure if there's much space for other brawlers. Next.
Who? That's the name.
Yeah, that's the name. Okay.
What?
Will Edgar get a rework this year?
Oh, this is a long answer, isn't it?
That's a tricky one.
It's a long answer.
Everybody's like, oh my god.
You know,
Oh,
when we talked about Mortis earlier,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, I guess I can start a little bit about this. So, there's a lot of things to dissect about Edgar. I don't want to go too long, but Edgar is very much liked in the community for how he is right now. And this is really important to point out. There's a lot of things we, for example, don't like with his playstyle. We think he's very polarizing and quite boring, to be frank, a lot of the time when you sit in a bush forever and then jump in and maybe die instantly to a gale. It's not the best experience. And because he's one of the most popular, because a lot of people actually like Edgar. So do we want to rework something that a lot of people like? That's very risky, I think, from our point of view. So I guess that's where we're looking at it. There's definitely maybe improvements that could be made, maybe reworks, but we haven't decided either way, I would say.
yeah, if a brawler is not generally a problem in regards to like win rates or play rates, again, it's like, I guess if you would look at the play rates of Edgar in a graph, you know, the lower you are in trophies, the more likely you have fun with Edgar. The higher you go in trophies or in Power League, the less fun you will have with Edgar.
Yeah.
And on the lower ranges, that also means you have fun with it because people don't know how to deal with him or how to counter him. And so you will see success if you play him. And on the higher range where people generally know how to deal with an Edgar, he becomes weaker. But I guess ultimately that's okay for us. It's not generally... It's like we get the same argument with Shelly all the time, right? It's like, but if we would give Shelly a significant buff, she would just wreak havoc in the lower ranges of the trophy. She is already doing that.
Yeah.
So it's like, it would just make things worse for new players, which is horrible. And Edgar's in a similar situation. And actually, Shelly is a great counter for him on the lower ranges.
Funnily enough.
Yeah.
As balance is restored.
Yes.
And it could be like, maybe it's not so problematic that every brawler is not available on high competitive game modes, right? Maybe some brawlers are like casual and it's just to introduce you to Brawl Stars.
I mean, Chester is a great other example for a more recent brawler. That's more of a for fun brawler, I would say, rather than this is an esports ready, always pick brawler. Although he was at the start, my bad. But yeah. So I think, I think our fundamental philosophy is that not every brawler has to be viable at all ranges at all times and equally balanced. Because that would make the game also very stale. If you don't see any progression in how you yourself see Brawl Stars and how you improve as a player and what picks you start liking and disliking and so forth, then it would also be, I think, quite bland to play the game.
Yeah, I don't know where you guys are at trophy-wise, but Edgar is pretty good.
Yeah, are you the guy that sits in a bush in Showdown at 10K trophies?
He is pretty good where I am. I'm definitely well above 10,000 trophies. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And he's also one of the brawlers I have above 500 trophies. So
good job.
I wonder why.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. People keep thinking, he doesn't understand season reset. And it's just like, I don't know where these complaints are going.
Thanks for the question, though.
Yeah. Osher Art. Actually, I know this
Cosplayer, right?
Yeah. She actually made a cosplay from Mandy, and then she had a friend doing Chester. And then they had like a whole storyline. It was really nice to follow.
That's cool.
Her. Will there be a Brawl Stars movie/series?
Starring Danny.
No.
As himself.
As himself or as Piper?
Both.
Oh, that's a good
double
idea.
roll.
No, it's still like if I'm a criminal in the future, it could ruin the movie, right?
Maybe you're a criminal in the movie.
Yeah. Spoilers. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, we love to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be really, really cool for us to eventually do that. You guys are commenting on our YouTube videos whenever we release an animation, so it looks like our players would like that.
Yeah.
So I guess we'd like that too. But it's, I want to say these are really long undertakings. So producing like an animated show, an animated, movie is not a small feat to do.
Yeah.
And so, if we do anything, it's not anytime soon.
And if, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but the Crow and like the Clash short wasn't like 5 years to...
I'm not sure.
Like
if it
from
was
script to-
So Lost and Crowned, right?
Yeah,
Lost and Crowned.
That was
From
5 years.
Yeah, I think it was
Might have-
from scripting
it's
to
like
final product.
Scripting, pre-production.
So it's longer than Brawl ever exists.
Yeah.
I mean, the global.
So
I mean.
it's tricky.
You okay, V? You're just like tilting off the...
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the TLDR is we'd love to,
Yeah,
but it's complicated.
it's complicated.
Good question.
Good question. Artichoke Fantastic.
Finally name
At
I
least a
can,
name that is the word.
a name I can get behind.
Any plans on improving the chromatic market? We kind of like touched on that already.
Yeah.
Also, I find the factor of simply buying gadgets and star powers with only coins a bit boring. Is there any possible way for you guys to add the ability to get gadgets and star powers without coins somehow?
There's a way. Jams.
I don't think that was his.
And also, there's more. Appreciate the gesture. He also praised the podcast idea. Yay!
All
Good job,
right.
Danny.
I hope
Yeah,
you
exactly.
like it.
That was the most number of sounds I used in a this short time frame.
It's not bad.
I guess we touched basically on everything,
I
right?
think we did, yeah.
Yeah, we did. I think it's like, yeah, it would be nice to have like some of these fun moments back.
Yeah.
And we will keep thinking about it, but
Yeah.
no clear solutions right now.
Yeah. Amidst ourselves, what Brawlers release cycle are you all proud of the most? Tease, Brawl Talk, actual release, post-release, balance, play. Well, it's basically the whole
of it.
thing.
The whole package.
Yeah. I guess it's very personal also.
It is very personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said mine is already Janet and Bonnie.
Which was a great example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have any other?
I mean, for me, I have to take the latest update because it was the first I worked on from design on the kits, and I think Willow especially is very unique. I think a mind control mechanic is something that you can have endless amounts of fun with. It's just such a deep mechanic. So even though the launch wasn't without its bumps, but I think I'm very proud of that mechanic, how it turned out in the end. So.
Yeah, and then I think when we were discussing that, I was already thinking of like, oh, this is a nightmare. Because like every Brawler release, you have to test every single possibility of controlling that Brawler, right?
Yes.
So we have like this everlasting
Yeah.
test we have to do. Like, does it break Willow when we release a Brawler?
So I made more work for myself.
Yes,
Essentially.
exactly.
Yes.
Good job.
Very smart. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's like one specific brawler standing out. Like, I like, no, like the brawlers I like the most, the releases were not glorious. I mean, Jean was like, it was the first brawler we had to disable. Leon was actually like one of the first brawlers. He was the last brawler we released before Global. And he was one of the first brawlers which had the new production pipeline. We're using, he had a higher resolution model, better textures, all of that. I think it was really cool when we released him. And he's like, I'm not even playing him that much, but he was completely broken when we released him. So I cannot really say that I'm super proud of that. Even though, of course, I jammed him and then owned people for a few hours or so before we did anything else.
This guy.
I do like the release when we released Belle quite a bit. I think the storytelling around Belle's release was really cool.
Yeah.
I think the trio we're establishing there with Belle and Sam now, I think it's just really fun and very fit. It's almost going back to the roots. It's like it feels just very OG Brawl Stars in a way. I guess because it touches on the Western. But yeah, I like the storytelling around that. I also, that she's the mom of another character in the game. It's like it's really interesting.
How about you, V? Is
I
it
don't-
Edgar?
I don't have a brawler actually, but I really actually enjoyed the lead up to the loot box removal. I just felt that there was a lot of breadcrumbs along the way. For instance, we did the community event. I think that was, and at that point I had only been on the team for a while, a couple months, but just to see kind of the community reaction towards what they were going to get if they hit their milestones, to what we announced during the World Finals, to what we posted on social media, all of it, and then obviously leading up to the Brawl Talk and then subsequent release, being a relatively stable build also at launch. All of that was just like quite impressive to see, and I hope we can do more of that in the future with other updates that might be coming. So yeah, I just thought that was really well executed among multiple disciplines.
Really cool.
Did you say that already? Yours?
Janet and
Oh
Bonnie.
yeah, true. Sorry, yes.
Joni
Joni
and Bennett.
And Bennett. Joni and Bennett. Heard it here first.
Sounds like a dog.
Next T Art, another Ping fun artist, by the way. Maybe that will be very long, but maybe we pick just one person. Tell us about how you got into this company and about the most memorable moments associated with it. Like, do you have one?
It can be like a few lines for each
Okay,
of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a few
sure.
lines.
Danny, start.
Yeah.
Okay. I always keep saying that when people say to me oh, how is it working at Supercell? I think most of us we start working in an indie company or a small company, and then when we start we always have this dream oh, I'm working with games, this is so fantastic, and then it's horrible. You deal like with so many problems, like revenue over like fun and things like that. And then when I got Supercell, I realized like, oh, it's like the vision I had before what is working with game is actually true. It's like I think Supercell is really like, I'm really proud to be here because like it is really genuine how we want to make the game better. Like of course you want to exist, so we need to profit, but like it's we worry about like is this not fun enough? We need to work on that and things like that. And one example I have is like the previous designer from Brawl Stars, Yon, one of the original.
Yeah.
Like we were testing BB and then BB wasn't working, and like I had just joined the team. I think it was like 2 weeks, and then I said like, oh, what if you had like this bar that charges and then she knocks out? And then Yon just looked at me and said, yeah, like let's try. And like in my experience in the gaming industry, never a game designer like accepts like a suggestion on the fly
From a
without
community
me
manager.
trying. Yeah, from a community manager without trying like, hey, I have to prove that this is really good because look at the data, look at the players, like this can, like it was just like a suggestion on the fly, and then it just tested, and that was designed that
Very cool.
we shipped.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's a great story. Yeah. I mean, for me, I think it's very similar. I think it's going to be very similar for a lot of people you talk to at Supercell. But yeah, I mean, for me, I think the coolest moment on the team in these 2 years has definitely been the World Finals in Paris. I'm a huge fan of esports myself, and just seeing all, the fans in person, all the pro players just being really excited about the game. It's a real moment of pride, I think, something you've worked on being appreciated to that extent by so many people. And of course, you realize that, looking at social media and numbers, but it's completely different seeing someone in person being that passionate. And that was a huge moment for me personally.
How did you get into this job?
How did I get into this job? Yeah, I mean, there was, a long story, but I worked for another company for a long time. And then the previous tester on Brawl Stars, who is still at the company, he's just in another project. He basically asked me if I would be maybe interested in joining. And of course, I was already a huge fan of Brawl Stars and Supercell, so I was like, let's go for some interviews, I guess, or let's try my best. And long story short, I apparently, have fooled everyone so far. So let's hope I can keep the appearances up. Yeah.
Cool. Frank, how about you?
Yeah, I think it was like my first month on the job. So I got here, and then we had to basically work on this project of removing brawl boxes from the game. And I think, I've been prior to this at another company, which was on a huge dev team of like 200 plus people, and Brawl Stars is quite a bit smaller than that. And so coming to a small team, I missed this about large company, about small companies that I worked at, which was having that autonomy where you get to come to work and, you can just kind of focus on the craft and make really good features for the games. And there was a feature that, one aspect of this redesign which needed some work. So we ended up chatting with some folks off team, and we got some pretty direct feedback that, the early designs of what you now know as Star Road were quite maybe less thought out. And I was really inspired by the fact that people were willing to kind of tell you directly that, hey, this part might not be working, maybe really consider changing it. Because I really appreciated when the best ideas won in terms of when we design something. And, the fact that people can be constructive about why they feel something is better than maybe what you had initially proposed. That's something I think that exists here. Like, people want us to make the best feature possible, want us to make the best brawlers possible. And so I was just really inspired by people genuinely wanting to help out and give you good feedback.
Cool.
How about you, Frank?
Yeah, I worked for another gaming company until fortunately Supercell found me. And by that moment, I only had heard about Supercell in one country, that was Boom Beach. So I had a colleague of mine I worked with before. He had introduced me to Boom Beach, and I think I already had spent a few $100, which is very me if you know me. So I went through, like interviews and everything, and it was kind of fun. and ultimately ended up relocating to Helsinki and really getting into the vibe of things. And of course, over the years, I started in a very different role than the role I have today, but somehow ended up in this position. And for me, the coolest moments in the company, the World Finals 2019 in Busan in South Korea. There will always be somewhat close to my heart. I think it was just an insanely cool event to go there. It was just like the whole city was, like breathing Brawl Stars. South Korea at that point is a number which is public, so I don't mind talking about it. But at that moment, we had 5 million people in South Korea playing Brawl Stars every month, and so everyone there played Brawl Stars, and it was like, we had this giant installation of Robo Spike coming out of the sea, and there was this like huge contraption with he was like literally like kaiju size, and standing there and seeing people taking pictures and all of that. And then there was this game exhibition where we had also a booth which was like completely branded Brawl Stars, which was like almost like Bull's Diner with a car and characters there. And I think it was just mind-blowing moment. And I was like, we'll never see something like this. In general at Supercell, what's making me really like coming to go to work every day is like, I think it's just the opportunity to work with so many exciting and awesome people. It's like it's almost impossible in most companies to find like to be surrounded by people who all really like what they do. And I feel like everyone in the Brawl team and in other teams here, actually they really want to be here and they really want to work on this stuff.
Yeah.
And that is just super refreshing if you've had like 20 years experience or something before in different companies. And I never worked in a company where that was the case. And that just is, it's just cool because you're getting inspired by your colleagues and all of this every day. Yeah. So even if you are a bit lower energy, you feel like, oh, I really have to step it up because everyone else is so excited and is giving their A game.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely echo that.
Yeah.
So everyone, this video is like quite long already. So like we have some questions still that we want to go through. And maybe like if you want to hear more about a certain question, please ask again. But like we are going to do like a speed run now for the remaining questions. So let's go. Revilo, he has like, we have seen collaborations with sporting clubs, blah, blah, with other brands. And companies.
Wow, that starts well.
Like, do you plan collaborations with Disney, Marvel, animes, or what is your take?
We're completely open-minded about collaborations. The reason we're not doing more of them is that we still feel like we're establishing Brawl Stars as a brand itself. But yeah, we're gonna definitely collaborate with more.
Doors are
third
open.
Parties.
Like if Mickey Mouse is watching that.
Mickey, if you're out there.
You're out there, buddy.
Yeah. Leneng say, how are you?
Very well, how are you?
Very good.
Yeah,
Nice.
getting a bit tired here.
No.
Late.
Of these other three people.
Wrong answer.
The wrong answer.
Crazy the Kid. You will ever be expanding the trophy road from 50K to something else, maybe even to 100K? What will the rewards be?
We definitely want to make improvements. Like we think that there's probably some improvements there at Trophy Road, particularly if you just hit 40,000 and you're expecting something great. There's not really something great for you then. And, I think there's certainly, like, we're not happy with the way Trophy Road is, certainly.
Yellow is here. Why is there such a clear difference in the direction the game goes? Oh, that's a spicy one. Direction the game goes and the attitude and communication towards the community between Brawl Stars and Clash Royale. Shouldn't your company hold the same values and mindset across its teams and games?
Might be some recency bias in this
Yeah, there's definitely recency bias. No, every game team is essentially their own cell within Supercell. So every game team has their own way of working with the community, dealing with the community, embracing community feedback. But whatever things might look sometimes, all the game teams here are listening to the community and reading all the channels and take feedback into consideration. So that's not a Brawl unique thing or anything. It's really true for all the game teams here.
For sure.
And some games are in harder problems than others. Like Brawl certainly has its own problems too.
Yes.
But some
Yes.
games are certainly have harder problems to solve than others based on the way they're built.
Yeah, maybe if that question was said when we were had the gear thing, I think Royale was way,
Yeah,
way
absolutely.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be the opposite way
Yeah.
around.
It
So-
comes in waves.
Yeah, exactly. And I
So
mean,
people, it happens.
it happens.
Yeah. Delete teaming in Showdown. That is not even a question.
It's just a statement. Okay,
All right.
sounds good.
No, but it's a good question, right?
Yeah.
So we're also not fans of teaming in Showdown. At least
Yep.
most of us.
No,
Maybe Frank.
maybe
He likes
dabbles
he
in
likes,
the spin.
He likes bushes.
I
at
don't
least.
know.
I'm
I
not
do
sure.
like my bushes.
I mean, I haven't
So-
seen you gaining trophies any time.
But yeah,
Wow.
like we would love to find a solution.
Yeah,
If there
yeah.
would be a gameplay solution.
No.
You don't think I'm just
We're
struggling?
not fans of like reporting or anything like this because ultimately it's a gameplay thing.
Yeah,
So it allows for it so people use it.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah. Because it's survival mode, so people want to survive. and they find it, yeah.
But we will keep experimenting.
Yes.
This was Frakitor, by the way.
Frakitor.
Yeah. Please answer this from Yunusars. Do you plan to develop or publish other games set in the Brawl Stars universe? Brawl Stars kart.
Oh, Brawl Kart.
The future is long.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a long
I'm
time.
just extrapolate from Clash of Clans. So it's like building up a huge IP as a company is like a significant investment, okay? Just from a business side of things. So you would like to use that IP. IP is intellectual property, in our case, Brawl Stars. You would like to use it, for other games. So that's all I will say to this.
Sounds good.
Ominous.
And
Ominous.
Rico AX7, we will add 5v5.
Dun dun dun.
That's a cool idea.
I don't have that.
No, dun dun dun.
No, done. But that
I'm
doesn't
not
fit.
Sure,
Maybe-
I'm
maybe-
not sure.
Maybe this one.
Just air horns. Just random air horns.
No, but briefly on a serious note, like we're not against 5v5.
He's so serious.
However, there is implications for Brawl Stars specifically, which we have to consider. Our UI is not made for 5v5, for example. And there's loads of other underlying systems which are just not made for 5v5. So if we were to do this, it's quite a bit of effort. So we might experiment with it, who knows?
Yeah.
But no ETA or anything.
And for something that it might not land, right?
Yeah, it
Like-
just might
Yeah.
not work. So
Yeah.
so we have to really balance that.
Yeah.
Right.
Sticky. Have you ever considered adding more star powers or gadgets for already existing brawlers? I guess the third star power or gadgets.
Yes. We have considered it. We don't have a decision on it, but yes, we have considered
We
it.
also haven't ruled it out, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But as you pointed out earlier, where there's 2 gadgets for most brawlers right now.
Yeah, and
And
someone
then-
pointed out they are useless. So like
Some of them are useless.
Yeah, so there is some ways to go.
Yeah. I think before we would add a third of each. We would like to make sure that what we have is
revamp.
good
Yeah,
enough.
Yeah,
good enough.
that is a priority for sure.
Angelo Steinbeck. My question is to Danny and Paula. How they fell in love with Brawl Stars and how it felt when they got put in the position. I guess we kind of touched on that.
You
already.
kind of touched on it. Paula's unfortunately not here.
Yeah, but she said that she wants to be part of it. So like, if you guys want to see another
Dun, dun,
episode,
dun.
maybe Paula can be one
That's a segue.
here on the table.
This is
Segue.
By the way, I think a heroic player or a viewer, they will go through all the questions and they will put the timestamps, right? Someone will
Yes.
do that.
100%.
Like we
Someone-
really love you if you do
Whoever
that.
you are,
Yeah.
Whoever you
you
are.
know you are there. Yeah.
you know.
You. Specifically
That's you.
Luan Gabriel, why are only some skins coming back? Why not from previous Brawl passes?
Well, we because we said they're exclusive, and the moment we changed our mind about exclusivity, we started communicating about it, and the first skins now are out already, I guess.
Yeah.
So we had Brawl Pass Season 11 pass, or the skins and the public skin are now available again for everyone. Now, this being said, we might consider doing recolors of previous skins, but I guess that's still something we are discussing, has not been decided. But if we were to bring them back, it would be a color variation and definitely not the original.
Yeah. So then we kept our keep our promises.
Correct. Yeah, that's pretty important for us.
Diogo. Wait, it's in Portuguese.
You speak Portuguese.
Yeah, I should
you
have,
speak
good
Portuguese.
no, but I
news.
should have translated beforehand.
Do it live.
Why don't you have like the sentences like suggesting the player to change star power or gadget, like the auto message?
What does it mean?
Like when you say like
I think in group chat or emotes.
no the
have
message
the-
that you can like tap and the ready message.
It's a good idea.
Oh.
Yeah, I think someone actually did something about it, but maybe yeah, it's a
News to us.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea.
yeah.
It's a good idea.
And now this is like the Korean section, so like I'm sure I get the names wrong, but this is actually English. Fire latte.
Fire latte.
Yeah.
Spicy drink.
Is there any possibility to make a playlist for background music or season theme sound, like I guess for the main screen? I know that's just a playlist, so I guess it could be anywhere.
Like on
Spotify.
YouTube or something.
So just
Spotify.
upload it all to
Yeah.
Spotify?
Yeah, sure. I guess it wouldn't hurt. It's a lot of work. It's for me, basically.
Enjoy,
Damn.
Danny.
Yeah.
Danny
Oh no.
trying to
Did
dodge
you just
work.
sign up? Did you sign up?
I
Danny
don't
trying
know.
to dodge work
Let's see.
live
Not
on
a
camera.
priority. Not a priority.
Okay,
Oh.
backtracking real fast.
Backtracking real.
I'm like, that's a question for the other guys. Yeah. Sun.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there any possibility to delete the thumbs down emoji? It's popular for a reason, right?
It is popular
It's
for a
very
reason.
popular. Yeah.
You guys like BMing each other. I don't know why, but
Yeah. Like, I'm not sure.
Like you have the option to disable emotes if you
Right.
want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
wanna see
exactly.
anything, you don't have
But you'll
to.
still see it on the loading screen.
Maybe
True.
I don't know.
But we're not going to delete any emotes. Is the short answer.
Yeah, I guess.
Yes.
Yes.
It,
But we're not super fond of toxicity in the game.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That
It's
we
like-
are not.
So that's
So-
actually a very important point that I
It's-
think we should talk about.
It's like, but there might be other ways of discouraging people from using specific pins.
Oh, really?
There could be, you know,
Oh.
like one can imagine that.
Yeah,
Would you-
anytime we have any type of potential toxic behavior, we're certainly looking for ways to combat that. And thumb down, maybe part of that category, maybe not, but it's something to certainly think about more.
It's very individual, right? How you feel about that. For some, it's just banter,
yeah.
and like
Right.
any sport,
Yeah.
there would be some banter. You know, it's like, and so it's a tricky one because you don't want to take away the expression people have and the way how they express themselves.
Yeah.
And if you're getting taunted by a thumb down, it's kind of also on you. So it's like,
Yeah.
so it's a tricky one. But yeah, again, it's something we're thinking about.
Yeah.
Aaron. Is there any possibility to come out new Brawler rarity?
I mean, it's not completely out of question.
There's no
but
use
but,
basically.
but right now we don't have a need for
Yeah.
introducing
Yeah, we
another
don't.
Brawler rarity.
We don't.
So like we would have to, I mean, there would have to be a clear use case before that.
Yeah. Yeah, the chromatic came out of necessity. It's not
Yes.
because they wanted
Yeah,
to.
correct.
Does he want like a wood rarity?
Wood rarity. What? Even
Like-
worse?
Is that
the
what he's
low
asking
end.
for? I'm not sure. Maybe.
Oh, like
That sounds lame. It's like
Martian?
imagine, here's the new Brawler. It's wood.
He didn't specify.
It's like what?
This person did not specify. I'm just
the
clarifying.
worst brawler
I'm
we
trying to
ever
clarify
released.
the question here.
I don't think he was looking that way. I don't.
Yeah.
Well, next.
Yep.
Daina solo akate yo tasei suru chigeru. That's Japanese, I guess.
Jeez.
Okay.
You,
I
you
got-
did that pretty well.
That was really good.
Relatively
Nice, Danny.
legit.
Believable.
Plans of bringing Showdown Plus back.
Not exactly Showdown Plus, no. Because it didn't fix what we were set out to fix with it, which was less teaming. Crow died again.
Crow agrees.
So yeah, like we're not gonna bring Showdown Plus specifically back.
Can you resuscitate Crow, please?
Resuscitate.
Maguron, when will Dynamite HP be buffed to 9,800? Wow, a
That's a
joke
very
question. Nice that they
Yeah,
explain.
I'll get right
Yeah.
on it. Yeah. that
Thank you,
sounds great.
Maguron.
Yes.
Heibon Nahito, what is inside Barley's bottle? Red wine, white wine, or something else?
No alcoholic beverage.
Yeah, it's elixir, or I don't know.
Barley brew.
What do you think robots drink?
Oil.
Oil, probably? No? Yeah.
Last question.
Okay.
I guess
Okay.
I should have
bring
like
it
a
on.
better question for the last one.
There should have been like the actual drum roll you have there. Yeah.
Thank you, V. Thank you, V.
Anticipation.
From W to Ra. Are there any plans to sell Brawl Stars merchandise in Japanese stores? Not the most exciting questions, but
Oh, come on.
It's
for
really-
him, it's the most.
yeah,
I
okay.
guess maybe
for
it
them.
is for him. That's
For
fair.
them,
That
yeah.
is fair.
I'm surprised we are not yet doing that.
we might have. Line is in
Yeah, I
Japan, right?
thought Line is in Japan, isn't it?
Yeah, I
And we have
I
a-
would expect that.
I guess you need to go to some other stores.
Maybe
Yeah.
this individual should check out some stores.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a Line Friend store in
Yeah.
Tokyo or something.
Yeah.
You'd think so.
Maybe.
Or maybe they're in
We look
a
into
city
it.
that
we'll get back to you.
Sounds good.
All right. So that's it. Lots of questions. How did you guys feel?
Very good.
Super fun.
Yeah.
It's good
Yeah,
stuff.
thanks for doing this. This was really
Yeah.
quite the pleasure.
Very much.
Despite how many people like to trash how many trophies I have.
So. You did it to yourself. I don't know.
It's
It
okay.
was self-inflicted. I don't know.
But cool. Thank you, everyone. If you guys watched till the end, like I'm very proud of you all. Like, please give any feedbacks you have. Like, either you want to keep it shorter, either you want me more focus on a specific topic. We are open to feedback because this is an experiment yet. Still? Pilot. Yeah.
Pilot, nice.
And yeah, this first one was a Q&A. I think like the next one will be like topic specific. So like if you have something in mind, like it's esports, art, like you want to bring other people from the team as well or guests. And of course, like if you like, give it a like because it helps the video. Comments on what you want to see, share with your friend who is asking the same question on social
Yeah.
media.
That would
and
be
the
great,
answers.
actually.
Yeah, maybe like
Share your knowledge.
share
Share
the
the
knowledge. Share the knowledge. But that's it. Thank you for watching and listening.
Thank you.
Thanks a ton. Bye bye.
See you.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye. That's it.